It's me, Karen Ashley. You know me as Aisha, the Yellow Power Ranger, and you are watching Anime Secrets. But hey, join me next year at Rangerstop and Pop, June 13th through the 15th in Atlanta, Georgia. It is our final year, so come and have a fun time with us. It is like a family reunion of Power Ranger fans, Power Rangers, and we're just going to have the best time ever. It's Morphing time.
Hey guys, and welcome to the next episode of our collaborative efforts between the Tokyo Secrets podcast, Blerdography, and Carnell Holley Pictures. We're doing our next promotional event for Rangerstop and Pop, the final year. And today we have the esteemed honor, the fantastic honor to have the man, the myth, the legend, the man behind the power of Power Rangers, Rick Shick. He was the visual effects artist on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and a couple of seasons after that. He has a very amazing set of credentials beyond the world of Power Rangers, including Spider-Man and many other amazing movies. So, Rick, welcome to our show. Really happy to have you here today. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks. Super excited to be here. Doing great. There's one thing I always want to respond as quickly as possible. I am not like the only visual effects artist. I was one of a team. So there were definitely a bunch of us. It was a collaborative effort, but I'm the one that people happen to find online and get hooked up with this. So I'm more than happy to represent them, but I always want to give the love where it's deserved to the team that worked on it.
Absolutely, 100%. We want to make sure that, there's more than one person that makes this happen, because visual effects is such a hard thing to get into. Speaking from my little bit of experience I have from college doing some video effects classwork back in like the early 2000s, early 2010s with some After Effects. So it's a hard job that you do, and I really have to give you props for being able to do something like that.
Thanks. Yeah, it can be tedious, but it can be really fun. And working with, so many different sorts of imagery, like the variety is what keeps it fresh, and why I've been doing it for over 30 years at this point.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a really long time.
An old man.
I mean, you don't look a day over 20 to me, man.
Too kind.
But yeah, we do have some people watching live right now. I just want to call out a quick shout out to my man, Nick Channel, who I think you actually know, Rick, from a previous interview that you've done with him on his channel maybe a year or two back.
Yeah. Nick was one of the first people that I did an interview with. Yep. I think, I don't know if we met at one of the conventions, or he just found me because of the conventions. I forget which one, but yep. Hello, Nick.
Yeah. And our other buddy, Mikey, and he wants to give some trivia about his favorite podcaster, myself. To say that I've had dinner with the Sentai actor from Gokaiser. I had dinner with the Dragon Ranger actor and Kamen Rider. He loves to bring that up whenever we have a live stream. Just because
right. Okay. I thought I recognized it.
No, Mikey is one of our more dedicated fans. He's always here when we do something live. He's always weekly for Tokyo Secrets. We have a weekly release of our podcast talking with Super Sentai. We're starting a new Sentai this coming Tuesday. Yep. O-Ranger, so that'll be really fun. Mikey already knows Nate. I told him last week for his birthday that we're doing O-Ranger.
Okay.
But
cool. No need to keep that secret then.
No, it's no longer a secret. We're doing O-Ranger next. But yeah, no, he's been with us for a while, and I just want to give him some shout out there to, show the love.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Rick, I guess I'll take the first question, and then we can kind of let others kind of come in and out as they want to with questions. But from the standpoint of visual effects, if I wanted to break into the role of doing visual effects in the industry, what would you recommend I do to get there? Would you recommend getting a degree in graphic design? Would you recommend just downloading some programs and playing with it in your free time? What is the best way to do this?
Well, I can give you the same advice. I mean, it's getting harder and harder, even for people who know what they're doing, to get work at this point, just because the industry has been going down and down and down lately. So like, I'm currently working, and I'm super ecstatic to currently be working. So if you were going to start, what I think I would do, which would be the same, I would give you the advice to do what I think I would do myself, is I would make something. I would make something to try to get me noticed. I've worked at many places where I've been, like when I lived in New Jersey and worked in New York City, we would have kids from the SVA. I forget what that is, New York SVA, the School of Visual Arts. They would come by, and I would tell them, go to school and get an internship at a visual effects company. It's like, come here and answer the door, and then talk to the people who work here, because most people are super friendly. If someone was working the front door and they asked me a question, I would tell them everything. I'd tell them, what I'm doing. I'd show them, give them tips. So like, you want to get in the environment where it's actually happening. So move to wherever you can find a movie being made or a TV show being made, if you hear of them in certain areas, and hunt that stuff down. Because back in the day, in the early 90s, when I started, I packed everything up I had, and I had a big portfolio of artwork from art school. I did not study film at all. And I moved to LA because I'm like, well, that's where they make movies. I guess that's where I should go. And just being in that environment, it took maybe a year and a half of searching, of looking up. Back then, I'm looking in there was a book called The 411 of Hollywood, and it would list all the production companies. And I would just go through and I would send out resumes. I would send out, cover letters with resumes. I have my portfolio that I could carry around. I even had a carousel of slides of my artwork that if someone had a projector, I could bring the carousel, set the carousel down on the projector, and we could go through the slides of my artwork. So it was about getting visible, getting into putting yourself in the place where something's happening. And even if there's a production going on and you can be a PA and just be on set, and there happens to be visual effects, you gravitate over to those people, talk to those people. Because usually when you're on a set, there is a lot of sitting around, waiting around. So if someone isn't actively currently busy, like those 5 minutes when I was on set with Keanu Reeves and I'm telling him where to go and I'm watching the camera and doing it, aside from those 5 minutes, the rest of the 5 or 6 hours, I'm just like sitting around waiting for something to do. So some people are jerks, some people are really nice. I would say more people are really nice. And so get yourself in a position where something's happening, go find it. School has been useful for some people because, I'd say a lot of people, school has been useful. They do go to school, but I was even, my wife and I were considering, our daughter is an animator right now. And when she wanted to go to school, I'm thinking, just go get a job. like let me use my connections and see if we can help find you a job. Like go intern somewhere and an internship can turn into a job. But we decided that she needed to be around more people like her and socialize in college. And so we're like, okay, just do the college route. So she did that against, my better judgment, but my initial better judgment. But yeah, get yourself out there. I don't think you have to go to school anymore. There's so many, I guess some of my friends who are teachers at schools might get mad at me for saying that. But there's so many incredibly helpful videos on YouTube, especially for visual effects, of how to use the software. Most software that people use for compositing now is called Nuke. And for $500 for 1 year, you can get access to a basic level of Nuke where you can make visual effects all day long. So when I work for a company, I use I will remote log into their systems. But for doing my own stuff, for working on our show, for working on Behind the Power, I have my own copy of Nuke that I've paid for. That's legal. A lot of people get a cracked copy and then complain when it doesn't work right. But I like to do it the right way just so there's no issue. And I have my own IT team if something bad happens. But for $500, and I know that can be a lot for someone to swing, but if you're looking at it as an investment into your career, it's really not that much compared to what you'd be spending going to school. So with Nuke and YouTube and shooting your own footage, make something that is maybe 5 seconds long, something that looks great. Even if it's a few shots, something that looks fantastic. Don't make something long and crappy. Make something short and super polished that will impress somebody.
We'll sizzle, sell the sizzle, not
Yeah,
the
like a
steak.
sizzle reel, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I like what you're saying, because it's kind of a two-part what I want to ask. What is your take when it comes to when you say make something as far as a fan film? If people that are watching who are Power Ranger fans, if they did a Power Ranger fan film.
I mean, yeah, I do it and have it be snappy, have it be quick. The last time I was at Rangerstop in Atlanta, I had a panel to do. And instead of just sitting up and giving a talk, I actually, we shot a scene of Power Rangers. And just to show, this is how easy it can be to make something come together. And I hate when people say just or easy, because everything is work. But when it's fun, it feels easy. And it feels like the word just might be, might actually apply. That does make the difference. But yeah, but we got Carnell to be in it, and you saw how quickly we were. Yeah, he did the putt. He was a putty for us. He got hit in the chest and he broke apart. And within
we knew you well, buddy.
Oh, you weren't there, Mark. He was there, but I think you left before I got in the morph suit. I was so self-conscious in that. But no,
that's awesome, man. You were great.
Yeah, Dana mentioned. I was just like, I'm not a big I'm when I say I'm a shy guy, people don't believe me when I say that. I'm just like, I can turn it on, but I'm naturally a shy person.
Yeah.
But with you making stuff, because I know I mentioned this offline. I don't know if we get the green light, because you at the time weren't officially announced, and it was just like I think I was assuming that you were already going to be a guest, in which you are a guest. But I just had this idea. If Nakia and Karen are just like, oh man, that's a great idea. For is what I mentioned to you. If there was a series of panels that lead up to that can give base level visual effects with your panel. I had an idea for the choreography base level, and then if for instance Brendan Mejia, when he does the Ranger fit, getting in shape to look the part to play a Power Ranger. So I'm just like, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea at all. Yep. But yeah, making something is fantastic, and and not just making it, but making it good. And part of it is being critical of yourself and looking at it as if you weren't involved with it. And so you could try to look at it with fresh eyes, get other people to look at it. Because I've seen some stuff that it's it's a nice try, but it's nothing I would show to anyone yet. It's something that looks like it's in the middle of being made. And that's fine to be at that stage, but that's not something that you want to present to the world, especially if you're trying to get a job. And say, look what I did, and it's it doesn't look that great. So yeah, you definitely want the feedback and be self-critical to know okay, I need to polish this more, or I need to figure out one more thing. Because even when I'm doing effects, I've done effects for our show, for the Behind the Power show, and there's a moment where I'm like, okay, I have to cut off what I'm doing, because I could keep polishing it. But I realize most people are probably going to see it on their phone, maybe their iPad. It's not going up on a movie screen, so I can let some things slide. But I've been doing it long enough. I know what I can let slide and what I need to actually attend to.
Yeah. And real quick, I do want to call out another viewer, Sam Noswell. Because he wanted to give a comment that he's still watching Power Rangers Rail Riders, and he's excited for Beast Hunters next season from Zenith Film Media. I don't know if you've heard of him, Rick, but
what's Rail Riders? I don't know what that is.
So Zenith Film Media is a fan production out of Detroit, and they do very good work with creating fan films in the Saban style, right? Where they take Sentai footage and they marry it with their own footage that they're shooting in Detroit. And, I've seen a lot of different fan productions across, different mediums. And I think what Xena Film Media does is some of the best stuff I've seen come out of the fan world. because they are so good at tying that scene from Sentai to something in their film and where they can suit in. And we've had those guys on our channel before in Anime Secrets, and they've told us, look, man, we have to travel far to get certain scenes to maps. So it's a huge thing that they do, and the work that these guys put in, it's phenomenal to me.
Oh, that's great. That sounds very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like they're doing it right.
Yeah, there's some later seasons. I think when Neo Saban took it over, I think these guys are on par with that kind of work. They did some really good stuff.
Super
To
cool.
me, it seemed almost like having another season of Power Rangers to me, anyway. So, but yeah, I just want to call them out because I think it's a really good comedy making, and it's very topical with visual effects to have this kind of conversation coming up.
Yeah.
So, what is your stint as far as being on the actual show? Because I think is Mighty Morphin all the way up to Rangers in Space?
Yeah.
Okay. Along with Masked Rider, VR Troopers.
Yeah, everything else in between. Yeah, all the Saban stuff that was happening around that time. So, right, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 2, and VR Troopers, Beetleborgs, Masked Rider, and then through the in space of Power Rangers. Yep.
Nothing with the pilot for VR Troop, the Megatron. Were you working on that?
Megatron?
Spectron.
With when Jason David Frank was supposed to go to what turned into VR Troopers.
You know what? I guess that was probably before I came on that they were starting that up, because I remember the earliest versions of VR Troopers, like Haim Saban used to come. I worked for a company called Modern Video Film. And it wasn't just a visual effects company, it was a post-production facility. So like TV shows like Friends, we were across the street in Burbank from the Warner Brother lot. So Warner Brother was a huge client of Modern Video Film, where like Friends would do their editing at Modern Video Film. They'd shoot it on set at Warner Brothers, take the footage across the street, and they'd sit down in an edit bay and put it all together.
Post house? A post house?
Yeah, a post.
I just recently learned that term. I was like, oh,
okay.
Okay.
Post means post-production. So there's pre-production where you're thinking about it. There's production where you're actually shooting something on set, and then post-production is when you have the footage and then you're putting it all together. So it was a post-production facility. They had tons of clients, and Haim Saban was one of the clients. So wait, where did this start? Where was I going?
With the VR Troopers?
Yeah, so when VR Troopers came along, and I guess I didn't know that Jason David Frank was considered being the main guy, because I guess at this point he was already established as the Green Ranger and was hugely popular. So he already had his own popular show. He didn't need to be in another show, right? So when I first saw it,
no, sorry about that.
Oh no, no worries. Did you have a question or?
No. Just kind of put it in context. Like he had, he was big on Power Rangers, but then they couldn't have him on the show anymore because there was no more Sentai footage of the Green Ranger. So they tried to make a show called Cybertron because they wanted to keep him on. So
Megatron, yes,
that's what became VR Troopers.
Gotcha. Yeah. So when VR Troopers started, they had scripts. They'd already done the pre-production, probably at the Saban Studios in Valencia. They came to us for a meeting to talk about the visual effects. And I clearly remember being in a big meeting, a big long table, and we're going through the script. Haim Saban's super efficient. He's like, doesn't want to waste time, doesn't want to waste money. And I remember the producer, they were talking about, now here in the script, it says they hold up the virtualizer and they say, we are VR. And they're like, okay, what kind of transformation are we going to have? How much time do we need to allot for that? Within our 25-minute show, however long shows were back then, excluding the commercials. So they're trying to figure it out. And Haim Saban just has enough of the discussion. He goes, somebody time me. Who's got a watch? He goes, how long does this take? We are VR. And someone with a watch is like, that took 2 seconds. He's like, 2 seconds. Next. and just get on with it. Like, stop talking about it and just get on with it. So like, I remember that the We Are VR, I remember him saying it and asking for someone to time him saying it just so we could get that point of order out of the way and on to the next thing. So then like we came up, my boss at the time, he came up with like what the transformations would look like. And then we would draw them. So I don't know if you remember when they virtualize, there's like white energy grows on them and like beams of light come out. It was all hand drawn. And as far as I remember, Brian Longbotham, our boss, was like, "Hey, I do beams of light coming out. We do these colors and blah, blah." And so, yeah, okay. So we're just drawing it in the computer to make that happen. I do remember also seeing some of the footage, like we were just laughing because, I was not a kid watching it. I was a young adult. And I'm like, what is this? Why do two of them always go over here and one of them always goes over here? And it's like, oh, it's different shows. So they're never going to fight together. And like, just some of this, like sometimes there's just people standing around in the background of the Sentai footage. And we'd laugh because it's like, oh, that looks like Dave. That looks like our friend Dave. But we got to hide Dave. So I'm going to take some bushes from here, put him over here and put him over Dave because there shouldn't be someone just standing around in the back of the shot. In the Sentai footage, I guess it was fine. But just cutting with the American footage, it didn't make any sense. So sometimes we'd alter the footage that way. But it was always, is it Brad Hawkins? Brad?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brad Hawkins.
Yep. As far as I knew, he was always Ryan Steele, looking for his dad in the virtual world.
Well, he was supposed to be the White Ranger.
Oh,
Yeah.
Brad was.
You're right.
Yeah, there's but they switched it last minute because they couldn't have ZDF go to VR Troopers. It'd be a travesty for the Ranger fandom.
Yeah.
They had kids that were having their parents write in saying, "Please bring him back. Our kids are refusing to eat now."
Oh my gosh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew it was big, but I didn't realize how crazy you youngsters were back then.
Hey,
Tony Oliver, didn't he say that?
look, we loved us some Jason David Frank. All right, he was the GOAT. Still the GOAT.
And they apparently, like Brad Hawkins voiced Trey of Euphoria. Like there were some original plans to have, not have Brad Hawkins play a new character, but I heard that there was like rumors that like Ryan Steele, like the straight up VR Troopers character, was going to turn out to be the Gold Ranger. I don't know why they changed it.
That'd be weird.
But yeah, but I heard that like with him voicing the Gold Ranger, that character was going to be gold.
That make because from what Brad mentioned in a previous interview at Rangerstop, that it was so last minute to make amends. Just like, hey, like you can have this show even though we promised you to be the White Ranger, but because even I forget the actress who played Caitlin, she came on the show at one point as I believe a love interest to Jason David Frank. So it's interesting. You wear a lot of hats, and I'm just like do you specialize in like fire, the fire special effect?
That's interesting. So that brings up something about visual effects artists. So we do a lot of different things, especially for compositing, and there are times where it's like you do a good job on like replacing someone's thumb needs to be replaced. Oh, you're the thumb guy. Or you draw electricity. Oh, you're the electricity guy. And it's like we sort of do everything. And it's whatever is the last thing you did really well. Suddenly you're that guy. Like that you can instantly get pigeonholed and things like that. So I would say my specialty is layering footage and making it look believable. Now I really enjoy drawing electricity like that from the very beginning. When we got to draw electricity for the show, I'm like, oh, this is totally cool. This is totally cool that I'm drawing electricity. I think like Doug Beswick and my artistic visual effects heroes, the electricity they drew, like Big Trouble in Little China has amazing electricity. Oh, it looks so good. When Raiden's coming down, he's holding that bolt and it's like shaking back and forth like a piece of electricity. And then someone, they drew on top of that. I believe Doug Beswick drew on top of that. It just looks amazing. And so we're always wanted to do more of that. And I always like it when I can do that. But the opportunity for drawing electricity does not come up nearly as much as it used to. Yeah, but like doing energy effects, I'd say back in the 90s, I was probably because I worked staff at Modern Video Film doing the Saban stuff, but I was also doing freelance. And so we kind of got known as like energy people, like guys who could draw energy effects. Sorry, Mark, you had a question?
Yeah, I have a question. So for those who don't know, especially in my audience, what is the difference between compositing video and editing video footage together, and how challenging was that for you when you had to do that in Power Rangers?
Yeah, gotcha. So, yeah, I see people say editing a lot now for compositing, which confounds me, but terms change, you know, as things happen. I can't force society to think correctly about stuff sometimes. So editing is, you have a close-up of Captain America. Hey, I'm Captain America. And then you have a wide shot of him like getting ready to punch. So if you have those two pieces of footage in frame is going along, and then you cut to the next piece of footage. So you go from a close-up to a wide shot. Between those two shots, that's an edit. You've cut one piece of footage and put in another piece of footage next to it, or just after it. So that's editing. Editing is when you take, you know, different camera takes of things, and you just take a shot here, a shot here, a shot here, a shot here, and you line them up in a row, and magically you have a movie or a TV show. So that's editing. Compositing is taking layers of footage, where if I'm going to be talking to myself and we shoot a plate of me sitting here talking away, and then we shoot another plate of me sitting here talking away, I can cut it right down the middle and do a split screen and have me talking to myself. So that's taking two layers of footage and putting pieces of them on top of each other.
Like the Green Ranger versus White Ranger?
I'm sorry?
Like the Green Ranger versus White Ranger?
Yeah, because Tommy's in it in two sides. Is that right? Yeah. That would be that same thing. So in addition to like layers of footage, we can also add in a layer of CG. So if there's, you know, like a dragon comes flying in next to me and looks around and flies away, it could be a puppet on sticks, and then I'll cover up the sticks, or I'll cut out. Like, think about we call it rotoscoping, where you draw a line around something and cut it out and put it on top of the footage. It could be a CG creation that's going through. It could be a live action element. It could be hand-drawn electricity on each frame, or like a smearing effect. If I'm going like this, and I want my fingers to grow a little bit or have some kind of goofy something coming off them, I can just draw that frame at a time. So that putting layers of footage on top of each other is compositing. Putting a piece of footage after another piece of footage is editing.
Gotcha.
What's the
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have a question in the audience from our good friend Nick Channel for Rick. He is asking, was it hard to create the morphing sequence, Rick, and the special effects for Power Rangers, VR Troopers, and Spider-Man?
So, I mean, you have teams of people that get something done. So sometimes you're part of it. Sometimes you're all of it. The morphing sequence was already established for Power Rangers when I started, because I started with season 2. But then some of the things we did is like take Kimberly's morph, and we had the background plate of it, and taking Kimberly out and then putting Kat in instead. So, you know, we'd have those different layers of footage, and we could recombine them. So sometimes we draw on top of that as well. I think, like, I remember her helmet, drawing electricity around her helmet to be specific for her helmet. So was it hard? I don't know that I would say it was difficult. It's just, it can be time consuming. It can be tedious. It can be time consuming. Sometimes it's a matter of deciding what it's going to look like. Like with VR Troopers, that was something that, like, we had to design what that looked like after I was there, because that show did not exist before I came on. So it was like up to the visual effects supervisor and whichever artist he assigned those shots, you know, like work out, like, what's this going to look like? What's this going to look like? And then what was the other one? Spider-Man? So Spider-Man, that I would say that was probably easy because at that point I was a much smaller cog in a much bigger production. So all these plans were made ahead of time. By the time it got down to me, I'm just like doing whatever they tell me to do. So like with Doc Ock is the guy standing in front of the vault and he goes like this, like he's pulling the vault door off. And there's like something in the wall where it's broken away, but they don't want it to look broken away yet because he hasn't pulled the vault door off yet. And they're going to put a CG vault door in there. So all I have to, all I have to do, or just I have to do, is paint a new piece of wall and put it over the broken things that were actually on set, so that then they can time it correctly with the CG of the CG arms coming out of the actor and the CG bank vault being flung away, and then reveal those broken pieces of wall, so that that was easy. That was not a big deal. Or there's a car coming at Peter Parker and he's in the cafe with MJ in the second one. And the camera's getting closer and closer as his spider sense is tingling. So someone else put that composite together. They put the car in, they put Peter. It might have been an actual car that they were rotating, just the way Sam Raimi likes to do things. I don't know if it was CG or not. But by the time it came to me, it was like, oh, there's some blemishes we want to get rid of on Tobey Maguire's face. So just like paint new pieces of skin and track them on and, just kind of clean them up a little bit. Like, oh, okay.
That sounds like such a pain.
Yeah, well, I mean, what? It can be done. And and that's another thing. When you're looking at a movie, that's huge. His face is 10 feet tall. Like you're going to see that if you go to see it in a movie theater. There's also a building when Doc Ock throws a taxi cab after he comes out of the operating room, after that Sam Raimi horror scene when the arms take over and they're killing everyone who is just trying to take the arms off of him. He throws a taxi, and they shot that on set in Culver City, I believe. And there's no tall New York buildings. So I actually I don't remember if I drew them or if they gave me an element, but I put some buildings in the back. And back then the 3D tracking was not what it is now. And so I had to hand animate the buildings in the background to match the camera move, because it was a it was a short lens, which means everything was really warped in the background. So I had to match the warping effect that was going on with everything, so that it would look like the buildings are there. The Mudman shot that I worked on for Spider-Man 3, that was difficult, and it was super time consuming, and it was very meticulous, because they had when Spider-Man blasts the Sandman with all the water, and then later he kind of reconstructs himself on the shoreline. Like you're looking at a drain, and then water's coming out of the drain, and the camera starts backing up, and that water, you see some mud come out of it, and then it goes onto land and crawls up, and it becomes Thomas Hayden Church, and he's all steamy, and he's looking at his daughter's little locket. That was a shot I had already seen the movie in the theater, and then I got a call from Sony. Hey, can you come work on Spider-Man 3? And I'm like, I'll take your money, but I just saw it in the theater, so I don't know what am I going to do? And what I did was, they had redone that shot a million times, and Sam Raimi never liked it. So for the DVD, he wanted it to be even better than it was in the theater. And apparently each release, if it released in the Asian market first, that was it was just like a wipe from the CG creature to Thomas Hayden Church. And then some artists worked on it, and then it was a little bit better with maybe some interaction, maybe some animation or something, because the CG never lined up with the guy. And they were trying to fix that. And so by the time I came on, it was like, do what you can to make this work. And I'm looking at the CG model. I'm like, the hands are in different places. The head's different shaped. The features are different. Like, what do you want me to do? And they're like, make it match. So in a case like that, I just end up go back to the basics, cutting the CG into individual pieces and warping them, moving them, smushing them, putting the nose where the nose should be, putting the eyes where the eyes should be, the brow where the brow should be, so that all the pieces would line up as you dissolve from one to the other. And then I drew like a little shape and made it grow and have like a growing shape look like it's going around his body, like it's drying out. And then I added layers of steam. We had a huge library of elements where you'd shoot like steam over black in different situations. Like I'd have something emitting steam here and it would come out and float away up here. But it would be over black and there'd be a light lighting up the steam. So you could lift the steam off of the black, like doing a high contrast imagery to like key it out, where you say, okay, all the black that's around here, we just want the lighter color of the steam only. And then I'd put the steam, I would attach it to his body. I'd animate it moving with his body. So when you see that scene in Spider-Man 3, and you're watching it on a Laserdisc or a DVD, or it might even be like whatever it's streaming on now, the latest version, if you see like his nose is starting to become the real guy, if you see like his brow and he's being revealed a little bit and there's steam coming off him, that's the one I did. And like I had to cut apart his fingers individually and each flange of his fingers individually to take the CG one that was like here and then move it and line it up with the real one that was over here, so that you won't just have a fading between two things that are close to each other, but you'd have a fading of one thing into the other that would line up perfectly. And I think my last day on that, I'd worked for maybe 2 days straight. And they're like, when are you going to be done? I'm like, when you tell me to stop, because now I'm just like paint fixing edges wherever I can to make them look just a little bit better, a little bit smoother. Because my first thing when they gave it to me, I'm like, all right, so are we going to get a new CG model for this? And they're like, no, that's your job, is to make this model look good. Because they had subcontracted out to someone, and whoever they had subcontracted out to did not do a good job. So that was a difficult shot, in that there was only so much time, and Sam Raimi only had so much money out of his pocket that he wanted to spend to keep me working day after day after day to make the shot look better.
Isn't this story? Isn't this an episode on Behind the Power?
I don't know. It might be. I don't know what we've released yet and what we haven't. We've shot a bunch of stuff. We have like 10 episodes ready to go. They just need to be edited they need to be edited and then add the graphics. And then if there's any visual effects that I want to do to make it a little bit more fun, that's usually one of the last steps. So yeah, it may be something we talked about. It might not be. I don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure.
Speaking of the Behind the Power visual effects channel, I did find the clip from Rangerstop and Pop that Carnell and Rick did last year.
Yes, I saw that.
And I vote we do a quick watch of it because it's a really fun clip.
Let's do it.
Let's go for it.
All right.
So you did. Oh yeah, you did.
Carnell was awesome, man.
Carnell was amazing for this. I loved it. Yep. It was great. So I'm hoping you guys can hear it.
So I don't know if you can see, but I put on the Ranger Pop and Stop into the Angel Grove.
I see it.
That's and it's also like behind the Angel Grove.
Yeah, it's
like
right here.
Side as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Right. So that's like the finishing touch,
Yeah. So let's react to this thing.
Oh, sorry, good to see you there. My name is Rick Shick, and I'm going to show you some putty stuff. Yeah, look at that great.
And we're making the putties.
Go Samurai!
Oh man, HDJ.
Booyah.
Oh man, it is so fast. It's really Oh my God. I love that there's two different people playing me.
Right.
I think that's just so.
Can you tell them the reason behind that? I was there.
Because we shot it at a panel, and then we realized we needed like a pickup the next day. Like, oh, we didn't get footage of this particular thing, but the guy who played me the first time wasn't available. So then we just put this shirt on someone else, and I'm like, okay, you're me now.
I like that I know the second guy.
Yeah,
he's
awesome.
my buddy Kevin from hang on, I'm gonna mess up the name of the group. It's Mighty Morphin Fitness. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have a t-shirt. Yeah, they're amazing people. I love that group.
And Tim Embry was me the first time. So yeah, very, very, very low budget, as in negative budget.
Yeah.
And like little effort for the audio and stuff. Like if I've been doing this long enough, I'm not selling anything with that other than just like we're having a good time. That's all we're doing with that, That
was fun.
I don't need to prove my visual effects bona fides with that.
No. It was just something for fun, and I think it's really cool.
Something together really quick with a quick intro and the quick and the people, someone else being me while I'm directing it, and then to get an actual ranger to help out, like that was awesome to get a real ranger in it. And then even so, like the visual effects, the idea was, okay, so Kevin was supposed to be holding a putty, but we didn't have one for him to hold. So I composited a putty into that shot later. Like you wouldn't know it, and most people wouldn't care, but it bothered me that he didn't have anything in his hand. So I put a putty in his hand, and like when Hector was swinging at Carnell, he was doing the very safe thing of swinging high, which is what you're supposed to do. I cut out his arm and moved it lower so that he just barely missed him. So like some of those things, like you can enhance it a little bit with visual effects where people aren't even really going to think about that. But yeah, Carnell, you were awesome.
Very much so.
I thought that was hilarious.
That's why I want to put the clip out there on the stream. It's because I want to give Carnell his due.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And like the cutaway to the two girls screaming. They were really sweet. They were really nice, but they weren't even there in the
dealer's room, right?
They were the next day just at the convention. I'm like, let me get a close up of you. So like, if you look behind them, you'll see they're not in the panel room. It's hilarious.
I noticed they're in the dealer's room somewhere.
Yeah, it's so funny.
So we have another question from our friend Nick Channel asking, what is the new TV show you're working on, Rick?
So let's see. I can't really say what I'm working on now. That happens a lot. But the last thing that I did work on that I can tell you, there's a movie that was in theaters for, I think, a week or two called Day of Reckoning. We had just finished that up a couple months ago, and then that came out. The project before that, I can't say what it was because that hasn't come out yet. I'm trying to think, what other things have I worked on? Oh, there's some TV show called 1923 or something like that. I worked on that. Worked on that a little bit.
I want to touch on the double team. Are you would you say this year, because that feels like a guilty pleasure? Because I was a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, and I remember renting it from Blockbuster. Deep cut. What was your involvement on that film?
Yeah, so that was the first film project that when I was working at Modern Video Film, working on the Saban shows back in the 90s, it was all TV. And that was the first film project where the visual effects department worked on the film. And so we were very excited. It was a big thing for us. Honestly, I don't think I worked on it. I get the feel my name is in the credits of the movie. I think I may have done a little bit of some graphics that someone else comped into a scene, but I really felt like my memory is I went along with everyone. Like we all, like everyone in the department got a credit, even if we didn't work on it, just for being in the visual effects department, which is unusual because usually fewer people get credits than the people who, than whoever actually worked on whatever the show is. So we did go to the premiere, and our boss, it was really sweet. It was like the first time the owner of Modern Video Film, the first time he had hung out with all of us VFX nerds. And when the movie's over, he's like, "So does anybody want to get some ice cream?" And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah.
But yeah, if I did work on that, I did graphics. I made some graphic element for one of the computer monitors that somebody else composited in. Because I always consider the first real film that I worked on that I actually remember doing the effects for was Simon Birch, which was Modern Video Film's, I think, second film that they worked on.
Okay.
And then Jim Carrey was in that a little bit, and the kid from Jurassic Park was in it.
From the first one, okay.
No, for Simon Birch. If that rings any bells for anyone, it was a book turned into a movie.
The name is familiar, but I don't know if I remember it.
It's sweet. It's a sweet movie. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Double Team. That was funny. That's hilarious. Dennis Rodman in a movie. That cracks me up.
Right. I mean, who pitched that? Because you credited and uncredited, because you have some uncredited credits.
Right.
That's on like Power Rangers and stuff, right?
Well, Power Rangers, I believe I was credited
for everything. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day when there was Power Rangers, VR Troopers, Beetleborgs, Masked Rider, they were all on. And I'd be like, my name would be on TV like 3 or 4 times a day. I'm like, sweet, it's awesome. It's totally cool. So yeah. Well, we did get Saban did give us credits for that.
So quick shout out. Oh, sorry, Mark. Just want to quickly shout out our good friend Chris Dunn. He says, "Hey Rick, totally loving the Behind the Power channel."
Sweet. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, Chris is awesome.
Also, happy late birthday to you, Chris. I think your birthday was yesterday.
I thought it was on February.
Yep.
Nice. Oh, well, didn't they do a party yesterday for it?
Yeah, anyway. The party was yesterday.
Okay. Well, I thought it was yesterday. So, but Mark, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
All right. So, like you just said, there was a point in time where your name was on TV 3 or 4 times a day because you worked on so many Saban projects. And I was going to ask you what was the most challenging shot you've ever had to do for Saban. But while researching you, I came across a clip that you did in an interview where you talked about where you had to go to location at Saban and watch them film a Megazord fight with the actual suits from the Sentai series. And you said that you never got the opportunity to work with the actual suit. I'm curious, what would you have had done with the actual Sentai suits versus, say, just working with the puppets that the toys that you got from Toys R Us to create the shots from the show?
I mean, honestly, if they ever gave us the suits, we'd just be running around in them, shooting ourselves, just like, we totally could goof around in them as much as we could. So, yeah, that was a time where we knew something special was happening because, like I said, we were a post-production facility. We were not the production. So the production was done at Saban Studios in Valencia, and we were in Burbank, California. So we're like, it's like an hour away, an hour and a half away, maybe. And we knew the suits were coming. I don't even think I knew anything about it, but the 2 guys who started before me and my boss, they knew more of what was going on. And it's like, hey, the suits from Japan are going to be here. This is a big day. Let's go. And I'm just like, sweet, let's go. And, we wanted to be on set and see what's going on. And so we were fortunate enough that our boss got an invitation for us to just come see the suits because everyone working on it knew, hey, this is a special day that these suits are here from Japan for this scene where these 2 characters, don't really ever interact in the Japanese footage. And so we were just there as visitors I just happened to have a camcorder and no one seemed to care. So I was just recording what was going on. And the one take that I had that's in my behind the scenes footage of that is exactly the take that's in the show. because you can see like when he hits and the explosion, it's like all the same stuff. But yeah, if they had given us the suits to work with, I mean, we would have shot whatever they needed us to shoot. Like, we'd be happy to do that, but they were like, because let's see, we're post-production, which generally means we're not shooting things. However, a fun part of back in the 90s, and even today, I'll still shoot some things myself. As a visual effects person, if you need an element, sometimes you just shoot it yourself. So if they had said, we want you to shoot this scene for us, we totally would have been excited to do it. We're like, yeah, give us the suits, we'll do it, and we'll screw around with them too. But we'll get you what you need. Well, like, I'm totally gonna take like a picture of me in the suit, being like, as well. So yeah, I mean, it just would have been an opportunity for us to mess around with their stuff.
Note to self:
If they
we're
had
going
let
to
us
get
do
Rick a suit to wear.
I'm
Was
sorry?
it the White Ranger? Was it the Tiger Zord suit?
Yeah, it was the Tiger Zord suit.
Okay, I remember that. Okay, and it fell on the
versus,
building. Okay, I saw
That's
that.
the second Megazord.
Thunderzord?
Right.
Yeah, Thunder Megazord.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, question from our good friend Chris Dunn. He is asking, if you could have been in charge of the visual effects for the 95 movie, what would you have done differently?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay, so I should never have been in charge of visual effects back then because I was just learning. But if they had put me in charge of the teleports, I would have made those better. The teleports we did on a TV show were way better than the ones in the movie. Oh, they were horrible. They were absolutely horrible. But yeah, if you put me in charge, I would be tempted to not do CG. I would, like, if I could, I would be wanting to figure out, how do we not do CG? How do we do puppets or suit work for the fights at the end? I mean, I know they went with CG, and there's definitely a reason they did it, but I would have been personally like, okay, so when you're good at a job, you have your toolbox to do the things, and you have your hammer, you have your favorite hammer. My favorite hammer is, can I do this for real? Is there a way to shoot this with something miniature, like where I actually have a camera and I have whatever the character is, I have that character in a camera in a scene. Can I shoot this for real and not do it CG? And so that's what I would do differently. I would have sat down with a production team and looked at the budget and budgeted out, what if we do this stop motion? Like, I think stop motion would have been better than, but stop motion has its detractors too. Some people don't like it. For me, I'm always going to love stop motion. I'm always going to love the nostalgia of it. Also, I think suits are appropriate for Power Rangers, people in suits doing stuff. So yeah, if I were in charge, I would want to try to avoid the CG as much as possible. Now, CG is great. There's great CG work. And even back then, there was great CG work. I would say that was not great CG work in the Power Ranger movie. That I went to the premiere with my buddies. Like, we got invited to the premiere. So tons of fun. That's like, I first met Karen. I have a picture of me and Karen. Super cute. And it's funny just because it's like, hey, look, we met 30 years ago. And like, I re-met her again, the last couple of years with the conventions and stuff. And like, look, we sort of knew each other, but not really. We just took a picture together.
Yeah.
Like, the premiere was great. I'm like, this movie is tons of fun. It doesn't always make sense, but it's fun. It seems to have the right vibe. And then the end fight, we're just like, oh. But again, I wasn't the audience. I wasn't a kid watching it. I was just, a young adult who worked on it. Yeah. So I would have given us the teleports to make them better. And then, yeah. When Billy is riding around on that giant T-Rex puppet, right? The skeleton comes to life.
Oh, right, right.
Well, not a T-Rex, a
Triceratops.
That was amazing. Like, the end fight could have been that level of work,
So on the same vein of that, Mikey is asking, I know you kind of answered, but he's asking, what do you think of the CGI Ninja Zords from the movie?
Yeah, I try not to think about it. Makes me sad when I think about it, unfortunately.
It doesn't hold up.
And you know what? And the shape of it doesn't even look like the toys. Like,
Not
could you
even-
at least make it look like have the same outline? Like if you do a silhouette of the toys put together and a silhouette of that thing, they're completely different. The head shape's all wrong. Yeah. It bummed me out. That was disappointing to me. It looks like, oh no, we're not done yet, but the movie's got to come out. Stop rendering.
Let me ask you this. So you did a lot, like you said, you like to do things yourself and you like the practical effect of how that looks on camera versus say a lot of the CGI work. CGI and graphics have come a long way since the 90s. Does it kind of bum you out that that's kind of the industry standard and Hollywood has strayed away from doing the practical thing just because it became more expensive to do as animation got cheaper?
Yeah, and that's why I think like Christopher Nolan, who shoots a lot of practical stuff, like I think his stuff looks great. And there is good CG. Like if you have enough time and money, you can make anything look good, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of money. I think a lot of people just, and I found this in my own career, a lot of like my hammer is, can I do it for real? A lot of people just assume something needs to be CG. And it's like, no, like let's step back and see, can we shoot this for real? Like it doesn't occur to people, can we do this for real? Quite as much, because that's just become a tool, and a tool that can be used in the wrong way. It can be used in the right way. It can be fantastic. And you don't notice when it's done really well, you don't really notice it. But yeah, it does bum me out. And even back then when CG was starting up, like when we first had our CG department, I was totally a snob about the CG quality. Cause I was like, and I didn't even like the term that they called it 3D. They're like, oh, we're going to do this in 3D. And it would drive me crazy when clients would say that, like, we're going to do it in 3D. And they would mean computer generated, because I'm thinking, this is 3D. This is here, Mojo Jojo, my puppet, but there's this man, this is 3D. What I do is 3D. Like if there's a computer screen in front of me, right? And I'm going to put my hand, if it's CG, I can't touch it. Where is it? I want this thing, like that's not 3D. So obviously I lost that fight because everyone calls it 3D. But back in the 90s, I'm like, stop calling it 3D. It's not really 3D. I'm like, like Ray Harryhausen making skeletons move. That's 3D. Like they were real things, the physical things that you could touch. So yeah, I was definitely a jerky snob about that. But when CG and practical works together, it's great. Like some of the best, some not maybe the best CG I worked on. I don't know. I don't want to get too hyperbolic, but the movie Zathura was a guy in a robot suit stomping through a scene, and then they added CG arms and legs to the practical suit. So you had real reference in the shot of what would this look like. Because you're always guessing what would something look like if we were to do it for real. And if you shoot it for real, a lot of those questions go away because oh, it looks just like what we shot. That's what it looks like.
Jumanji in space.
Jumanji in space. I love that movie, and that was a really good mix of practical and CG and blending them together. And for the most part, not knowing what the difference is between the two things, it was great. And so like I don't hate CG. I just don't go to it for my first. It's not the first thing I reach for in the toolbox.
Yeah.
So what's your view on Jim Henson's work?
Oh, love Jim Henson's work. Oh my gosh. I grew up on the Muppet Show every Sunday night. It's like Mutual of Omaha, Wide World of Animals, and then the Muppet Show. Like that was my Sunday night. So yeah, Jim Henson. I'm a huge fan of Jim Henson. There's a puppet museum. I'm just south of Atlanta. There's a huge puppet museum in Atlanta.
Whoa, where?
I'm like getting all teary.
Yeah.
Standing by Miss Piggy, like, like here's the pigs in space. I'm like, my wife's like, hey, come on, we gotta go. And I'm like, I'm crying over here. Leave me alone.
So
I can't think.
There's a puppet museum in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay. Can I
Is it in Midtown?
Somewhere downtown.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find this one because
I think I've I want to say
Now I
I
gotta look
want
it
to
up.
say
I
it's
think
like off
called
of
the Museum of
251.
Puppetry Arts.
I want to say it's
I'm
off of
gonna look into
251.
this because
Oh, you're not even from here. Oh, you gotta wait till you come here.
no,
Cause
I'm coming a day early to Rangerstop and Pop this year,
okay,
so I'll be there Wednesday.
get
Yeah,
it.
the Center
So-
for Puppetry Arts.
Maybe
in
we'll do
downtown
that instead of
Atlanta.
because I was trying to figure out what to do Thursday and today because I'll be there Wednesday afternoon, so I might just go there. Rick, you want to go?
Well, Thursday we're doing a live Behind the Powers from 6 to 7:30. We'll be at the hotel shooting a live episode.
Oh,
I have
cool.
It's
information
so
for you.
good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The first to
Ah.
know, exclusive news. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell anyone,
That's
but yeah,
hot.
we're going to be shooting a live episode somewhere in the hotel. We're still working it out,
Yeah.
but that's
sweet.
what they call them. Thursday is day 0.
Right,
Yeah.
we were talking about that.
So yeah, I would go,
Yeah.
except for I'm going to have to be getting ready for that.
It's all
Mm.
good. We have a unannounced day 0 event that we're also doing for the con. More
Sweet.
on that to come in the future.
Still
But
trying to
here's our
iron
little
that out.
spoiler of hey, there is something on day 0 that we're doing as our collaborative group.
Nice.
But shh, it's a secret. Don't tell
Right.
anyone.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I just gave away a secret or not. I don't know.
I mean, look, I'm part of Anime Secrets. I have all the secrets.
I said, you heard it here.
I see we got another question here.
Yeah, so Nick Sandler's asking if you could work on Power Rangers again, would you? And what do you think about the reboot plan with Disney Plus and Hasbro?
Sure. I work on anything. I know when I heard that they were doing a 30 reunion episode, I talked to my boss and I'm like, hey, see if we can get this. But I don't know the people making it anymore. So it's just sort of random. I feel like being a visual effects artist, if you're freelance, like what you're doing is just sort of random.
Yeah.
The jobs end up being very random. I actually don't think anything about the Disney or Hasbro because I haven't watched Power Rangers since I worked on it pretty much. I know my youngest son watched the Samurai Rangers. So I think I maybe saw half an episode or two. I don't think I could actually sit through and watch a full episode of it. Just because, I don't know, it was never my thing. Except for working on it. It was totally my thing. So yeah, as far as whether it's Disney or Hasbro, I have no idea.
It's paying the bill. It's a job. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of
job.
No doubt. You because I was just thinking about this because with you working in Cali and pretty much working in Georgia, like what is your take the vibe between the two for the film industry?
Oh yeah, so working in California in the 90s was completely awesome. I mean, I was a young man, I had no family, and just to hang out in California, and I was working the first year and a half of actually doing the Power Rangers, working at night. So, and I eventually lived in Santa Monica, 4th Street and Marine, just like 1 block north of Venice, 4 blocks in from the water. Go to the beach every day, like wake up at 10 or 11, go to the beach, hang out, go to work at like 5 at night and eat for free, have a free dinner, and then work until 2 in the morning or 6 to 2 or whatever it was. And then at 2, like we'd go to there was the Corral and like go have like cheese sticks in the middle of the night because you're just, still hungry before you go to bed, like racing remote control cars in the parking structure. Because we're like young jerks with too much money, just buying toys.
How dare you?
And like buying comic books all the time. And
how dare you?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a great freaking time. So
sounds great.
Yeah, California was awesome, but it was also nowhere where I wanted to raise kids. Like LA was just like a what was it? They had not Cartoon Network. Comedy Central was new back then. And one of their promos was someone singing folk songs of LA. And one of them was dead on perfect of LA is a lady, a big, scary, sleazy lady. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty true. Like, I don't want my kids growing up here. It's kind of gross here. There's graffiti everywhere and it's filth everywhere. And, you know, like there's nice areas and there's bad areas. And so I just knew that I wanted to get out before I had a family. And fortunately, I met my wife out there and she felt the same way. Yeah. So we moved around a lot because we just kind of like want to do stuff. Like we eventually get antsy and just need to go. Like we didn't have to move anywhere, but we just kind of felt the urge of like, you know, America's a big place. Let's see, you know, see what else there is and see if I can work in the industry without being in LA. Do I need LA to keep working or not? Like that became the question. So when we left, we tried Austin, Texas first because it's artsy fartsy and we figured there's a small film industry, but that was hard to break into.
Yeah, Austin's pretty nice. I lived there for a year and a half.
Their tiny little walnut of work. So I wasn't getting enough work to live in Texas. I couldn't get people to break the pipeline to send me enough work to work for my home all the time. Because at that point, I was like, I'm ready to just do crap. Like, send me like whatever you shoot wrong, send it to me. I'll fix it. I'll make it work. I'll work on the dregs of Hollywood stuff if I don't have to live in LA anymore. Like, you know, like that's what I was thinking. So, but then I had to go back to the studios a lot. I was flying to California or going to Albuquerque to work. And then Texas was an experiment to see if we'd like it or not. My wife was mostly there by herself with the kids because I would leave a lot for work and be gone for a couple months at a time. So then she didn't like being out there and she's from New Jersey. She's like, I want to move. And I thought, okay, we'll move back to California. She's like, no, I want to move to New Jersey. I'm like, okay, I love you very much. Let's go to New Jersey. So then I started up a whole new network in New York. And there was a big industry in New York. So I worked in New York, and New York was even grosser than LA as far as just the city goes, but met some great people. And New Jersey was very pretty. I know that New Jersey has a reputation as being totally disgusting, but that's just when you're taking the train toward New York. The rest of New Jersey is very much the Garden State. It's very green, very pretty. So it was just a little bit packed. And then we just eventually, my wife had enough of New Jersey, and I didn't want to be there in the first place. I'm always making the best of whatever we got, and you know, kids were starting to grow up. Some of them were already in college. One of them was already in college, and we then moved to just south of Atlanta. Love it here. It's green. It's expansive. It's far less expensive than New Jersey or LA. People are super nice. People are super nice in Texas. Some people were nice in LA. Some people were nice in New York. But as a whole, the Southern hospitality, like people are super nice. And like I'm looking out my window right now, and there's just trees everywhere, and there's plenty of space for my dogs to run around. And I love being here. And it's funny because when I moved here, that's when the pandemic happened, and then everyone was forced to work from home. So when I left LA in 2009, I couldn't get people to break their pipeline to send me enough work to not go back to studios. But now everyone's like work from home all the time, never come into the office. So that was working out great until the actor strikes. First, it was the writer strikes, then the actor strikes.
Double whammy.
And then streaming was dying because they were making crap that no one wanted to see. And so the industry just shrank and shrank and shrank. And eventually it shrank so much, I popped out of my staff job. So I got fired and then just became freelance again. But ever since then, I've been working out of I'm in a detached garage that's, on my property, and I love it. I love working here. If I don't have to go to a studio, great. If I do have to go in, okay. It is still nice to like hang out with people in person. Like I do miss that aspect of it. But it's like, honestly, I don't really want to go anywhere unless it's like, hey, will you direct this crappy horror movie for us? Oh yeah, I'll go do that. But it's like, if I'm going to composite, can I just sit here and do it? Because I don't want to go anywhere. I got my slippers on. I don't want to have to. I don't have to walk and put gas in my car and drive somewhere. Like, But yeah, those are like the differences of working in the different places.
Yeah, I think Atlanta sounds like a very
people to hang out with, you know.
It sounds like the most chill time you've had is Atlanta.
The what? I'm sorry?
It sounds like the most chill time you had was in Atlanta, like the most relaxing for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Walking out my back door across the backyard to the detached garage, and now I'm at work. Like,
yeah.
You know, I walk out every morning. I would walk out and be like, "Thank you, God, this is awesome." Like, you know, I didn't really do that in LA a whole lot. I mean, I try to be thankful, but I wouldn't just think like, "Hey, look at all these cars in my backyard that are whizzing by on the 90 freeway. Boy, that's loud."
Yeah. So, quick question for Mikey that I'll kind of modify a little bit. What are your thoughts on the 2017 movie, and should it have gotten a sequel?
All right, is this going to be controversial? No, because I didn't like that movie. You know why? It wasn't really for kids. I feel like Power Rangers should be for kids. You know, like the first movie, the first Power Ranger movie, totally for kids.
Right.
And even the Turbo one, which I watched recently. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. That's for nobody. That's for nobody. And the effects were way worse than what we were doing in the show. Way worse. Oh my gosh, that was killing me. That was so bad. So I just think Power Rangers should be for kids. You know, like make it a kid, you know, a movie for little kids to see.
Make it kid friendly again.
Make it kid friendly. Yeah, that's all it's got to be.
So you're, I don't know if you know the, I guess, was it the rumor that the franchise is going possibly to the Disney Plus, if it's going to that platform, and we mentioned it briefly when it was like, it seems like a good fit if it does go to Disney Plus. Like Disney is kid friendly. It's all about the kids. That's how you get that $1 billion. Make your own money.
Yeah, I mean, if they, yeah, I just think like make it for kids, and that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, beyond that, like I said, it's not like I don't think about it all the time because it's not like, oh, I'm a huge fan of the show. I just, you know, I mean, I'm a fan of having worked on the show for sure. Like we had a great time working on it. It was such fun time, and the creativity that we were allowed to express was incredible. Just because Saban didn't care. Like a monster appears, a monster disappears. It wouldn't say how, you know, he didn't care how, he just knew that they had to appear somehow. So the how would basically be up to us. And once our visual effects supervisor was fired, and then we kind of were supervising ourselves for a while, it seemed, we're just making stuff up. And we're, you know, and even before our boss got fired, he was very creative, and he wanted to do, like, if we suggested something, he wanted to see, yeah, let's see if we can do that. So he had a great attitude toward visual effects and toward, you know, expanding what we were doing and us learning and whatever our interests were. He's like, yeah, let's try that. And sometimes it wouldn't work and it would look really bad, but it would end up on TV because there was no time to redo it. It's just, that was the nature of what it was like back then. Yeah. I see Chris Dunn's question. What would the cost difference be to do practical versus good CGI? So I can give you a case study example.
Ooh, let's do it.
Sort of, because I don't know if I don't remember what the show's called. I think it's called City on Fire. There was a TV show that I worked on for Apple Plus. I hope I'm getting these details right. I don't remember a lot of things because I just don't care that much. So anyway, I think it was called City on Fire. I think it was on Apple Plus. And there was a scene where they needed a dead bird on the sidewalk. And they had made a prop. So they had a practical prop. And when they pulled the prop out of the box, it was a joke. It looked like a Muppet. It did not look like a real bird. It looked like a toy. It was crazy how bad this prop looked. So, and it was supposed to be a very specific bird. It was supposed to be a blue Turaco. Now, I think when they wrote the story, they didn't know what a blue Turaco really was. Maybe they saw some pictures online, this exotic African blue bird, which I actually have it right over here in my office. I can go grab it. But they wanted a dead blue Turaco on the ground, and they couldn't use the prop because the prop was silly. So they just shot it with nothing there. So when it came to me, when my boss was like, okay, we got to make this dead bird, and we figured it would be about $80,000 to do a CG bird with, you know, the whole feathers and the modeling and animation, because the kid's supposed to poke it with a stick, so it needs to move and it needs to look realistic, and you don't want it to stand out as, hey, why is there a CG bird in this shot? You know, you want it to just look like there's a bird. So my thought is, okay, I need to make this blue Turaco. It's basically the size of a pheasant. They also wanted it to be the size of a chicken, this big instead of this big, which is silly because, but like they'd already shot it that way. So it's like, it makes no sense because a blue Turaco is not a small bird. So it needs to fit into this space. And I'm thinking, all right, I can get a pheasant that's dead because I'm in Georgia and there are pheasant farms and there are people shooting pheasants. I'll eat it if it makes them feel better. Like when it's over, like we won't just kill it for the show. It'll be a dead pheasant and I can eat it after we shoot it. I can make a dead pheasant look like a blue Turaco more than I can make a fake bird look like a blue Turaco. So like if I'm poking it with a stick and I shoot it in my backyard, it'll be it'll have all the movement, the feathers and the head kind of lolling around. So they wouldn't let us do a real pheasant, and we actually found a stuffed blue Turaco online that was like in Denmark that some woman had made. So it was a real blue Turaco. It had been stuffed and we bought it and they gave it to me. And then I looking at it and I'm like, there's styrofoam inside it. It's sewn up. I'm undoing the stitches. I'm moistening it up to get the skin to move again. I like the beak had been painted and it was glued shut. So I like kind of cut it open. I sculpted a tongue, put a tongue in it so the mouth would be open, because I'm thinking a dead bird, maybe the mouth's going to be open, you know, and it had like really pretty fake eyes. I dulled the eyes down with sandpaper. I sculpted little eyelids, stuck the eyelids on so it would look like the eyes are half closed and the mouth's open. And I cut out some of the styrofoam and I put some, I always have fake blood on hand. So I put a bunch of fake blood in it and like got the wings going. It's what people like me need. We need fake blood.
Right.
Blood. So
I caught that. You caught that too. Like,
yeah. So I turned this stuffed Turaco into a dead looking on the side of the road Turaco, and I shot it in my backyard. And because it had to go from being the size of a blue Turaco, which is this big, to this big in the scene, and the kid's poking it with a stick, I got a really big stick from my backyard, and I poked it with that so that proportionally, when I shrank the bird down and shrank the stick with it, it would look like the kid's stick. So if you go watch this episode of City on Fire and you see this blue Turaco, you would swear it's there. And so we did it practically. And instead of the bid of $80,000 for the CG one, it cost us about $20,000 for me to make this one and do it practically with a dead Turaco. Like I can take a stuffed dead bird and make it look like it's a freshly dead bird. Like that was the big hard part. And then blending it into the scene and getting the, like putting the rocks that it's laying on so that the rocks would shrink down proportionally with it and match into the scene. So I don't just have to cut out the bird, but I can cut out the lamb. And that's one of the tricks. It's like a magic trick where if you're looking for, hey, is this bird really there or not? You're looking at the edge of the bird. And did they integrate that edge of the bird? But if I've actually shot the background to match the bird's space, I'm blending dirt into dirt. And you're not going to notice dirt blending into dirt. You're not even going to think to look there. So that's one of the magic tricks of visual effects, of putting these layers together and hiding the area of where, like what makes it look not real? Well, when there's a goofy outline around it, or maybe the blur isn't quite right. Maybe it's a little too sharp. But if the edge of the bird matches in with the dirt around it, then it's beautiful. It's perfect. There's no question. Is it there? It looks like it's there. It's not like they're going to look at this bird that I've shot live, which is dead, and put it into the scene and say, that bird edge doesn't look quite right. Where if it's CG, you'll spend 3 weeks on getting that edge just right. And maybe I want one more feather to go over here. if it's CG, you can animate all these things. But if I shot it live and it looks real because it is real, there's just no question, you know? One second. I'm going to grab the bird because he's right here.
All right, let's get the bird.
Because he was pointing to it. I'm like, so he has it.
Oh, the bird's there. The bird is definitely ready. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
This is the blue. So he's frozen up again. But like I had moistened the skin. So like the head was like sliding around. And you can see there's like a little bit of a eyelid. And then this is the tongue I sculpted, which is actually falling out a little bit. Can shove the tongue back in there, but the tongue just kind of kept the mouth open because it wasn't open. And there's the hole in the, you know, the fake blood going in it. So, and I had to like undo the what, like there's wires in the wings. So I had the wings laying by the side, but I was able to make this look like a real bird laying on the ground because it was a real bird laying on the ground. It just had to look fresher, you know, more freshly dead. That was the difficult part. So, yeah, I mean, it worked out great. It was much less expensive than they thought it was going to be. It was much less expensive than they thought it was going to be. So they were super happy. And the guy, like there was a visual effects supervisor on set, really nice guy, Paul. And he's like, that is the best effect I've seen in forever because you'd never know. You'd never know that that wasn't really there. And he was like, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how you're going to do it. And I'm like, we got it. We got it. And when it was done, it was like, yep, that's awesome. Fake blood.
Yeah, I'm still kind of tripping over that. I
got another fake one. I got two, just in case. You don't know.
Well, no. When you say on hand, it's in your workspace, not on hand. Like I'll have some of my camera equipment with me when I'm out, and I'm just like, oh, let me get this quick interview because this person is there. But for us in your workspace is where the blood is.
It's in my work. Yeah, it's in my office. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, shoot, I can just do this. So this
Let's get a tour.
Like there's some of my sculpting stuff, some chemicals and whatnot. It's usually in that box. Oh, and there's the new set for Behind the Power, so we can shoot here in Atlanta or in Orlando. Nice. I made a new set for our show.
Awesome.
We're literally neighbors. I'm also in South Atlanta. We might have to.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to be like, oh, he's probably down the street from me.
Yeah, man, totally.
Meanwhile, I'm over here in Houston, far away from all of y'all.
Oh, my daughter's in Houston.
Oh, cool. Well, if you're coming out to Houston to visit.
Jersey House Animation. Animation studio.
Awesome. Well, if you come down to Houston, hit me up. I can give you a tour of NASA or something.
Oh, totally. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And any plans to work with your daughter on any future projects?
No, you know, it's funny. We did work on a few things. Really big one when she was still in high school. I hired her to do illustrations for me. I was hired to make an educational video for a kids museum in St. Louis. And it was all about digestive health. And it starts with like brushing your teeth and then basically eating an apple and then the apple going through the digestive system. And actually, I think I can put this on YouTube now because the museum, sadly, it just closed last year. But I hired her to do all the illustrations for me. So it starts out where basically you're in the theater. In the theater, you're inside someone's mouth. And so in the animation, you're in the mouth. On the screen, you're looking out of the mouth at a dentist office. And so there's like a row of teeth at the bottom of the screen, and there's a row of teeth at the top of the screen, and you're seeing through those. And it's all just 2D drawings, but I animated my daughter's drawings. And then a dentist comes in and he tells you, you know, to take care of your teeth, and he brushes your teeth for you. And so there's some cute interactive stuff with like a hand-drawn toothbrush that he wasn't really holding, but I comped it into his hand. And so he's brushing the teeth, and then some CG animated bubbles. And there you go. 2D animation and CG together. Some bubbles come up, and then they were doing bubbles in the theater. So eventually you as the audience, the teeth chew on an apple. Another person comes, gives you an apple, chew on the apple. And then the apple is stop motion that I shot in my kitchen. So I shot stop motion pieces of apple breaking up, and then it turns into like this green sludge and it moves through the digestive system. And yeah, I did that whole thing with my daughter. It was great. It was awesome. And my dad is he was a dentist. My dad's 95. I think at the time he was 87. So I'm like, I'm hiring my dad to be the dentist. And it was funny because they're like, well, can we get someone they just wanted someone more diverse. And I'm like, I'm doing this on a super low budget for you. My dad is a dentist. I'm not doing this if my dad doesn't get to be the dentist. Because like my daughter's doing the drawings, I'm putting it together. My dad gets to be the dentist because he really is a dentist. Yeah. And he's a terrible actor, but he's a great dentist.
Is the shot similar? Because I'm envisioning the dentist scene from Little Shop of Horror.
Yes, that's what I was going for, like that, but just with 2D animation, just really, really, really low tech. And it was great. It was so much fun. It was fun to do, a multi-generational piece that involved, my dad and my daughter. But as far as I don't think my daughter wants to work with me, who wants to work with their dad,
Depends on how cool the dad is. And I mean, I'm hoping you're a pretty cool dad.
Well, most kids don't think their dads are cool.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Does mine think mine? I'm trying to get my daughter and like have her play my daughter in something.
You know what? God bless you. All I can tell you, it seems like there's an age where like a switch flips.
I think because I was told because she's more connected at the hip to my wife, and so I think later it'll shift to me because I'm like I'm the one that's trying to be like, hey, I want some affection, and she's like, no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell you, it seemed like mid-teens a switch flipped, and now she's 24, and it's like gone back again. So it comes and goes.
Yeah.
At least it has for me. Well, at some point, like kids don't want to hear no, and you're just like you're not the fat guy, but I'm the fat bald guy telling her no, and it's like you're the big fat bald guy ruining my life.
Oh shoot! Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I tell her no with no issues. It's just I know you're super cute. A lot of people want to say yes, but I'm like no, no.
Yep. No, like I said, it was like there was a certain age where it's just like the switch flipped. It was like, oh, okay, bummer.
Yes.
So Rick, I'm curious. I have a fun question to ask you. Out of all of cinematic history in VFX shots, what are some of your favorite shots that inspire you, or you look at and like, wow, that's crazy, that they were able to get a shot to look as good as it did that you didn't work on? Oh yeah, one of the earliest visual effects guys, and he was one of the earliest everything, is Buster Keaton. There's a movie called Sherlock Jr. So Buster Keaton was like the biggest director in like the 1910s, 1920s. Absolutely incredible cutting edge visual effects work, going in and out of screens, like the whole idea of like doubling himself up, quintupling himself up, where he's an entire chorus line of people playing music. I guess it's not a chorus line, but he's an entire band. And it blows my mind. And he did practical stunts as well that were like way beyond Jackie Chan. Like he was the inspiration for Jackie Chan. But visual effects wise, Buster Keaton, to do a shot where it's, even if it's just him acting with himself, he would have to shoot that on one piece of film. So he would have to be, and so I'm thinking, he's in a band, they're all playing instruments and they're all looking at each other. It's a strip of film. It's one piece of film. They would expose one strip where he's standing, right? And he would have to do the action and do whatever, pretend whoever's around him. Then they'd rewind the film, cover up the other parts,
expose the next piece of film, he would act like the next guy. And so he'd have to keep in mind, what were these other people doing? What was I doing in these other things? So we can look at each other at the same time, react to each other. And also the cameraman is winding by hand. So he's got to do the same speed every time for it to look good. It's just insane. And there was another guy named Charlie Bowers back then. He did some stop motion animation that just blows me away, of like a car, a bunch of eggs get stuck in the engine bay of a car, and then those eggs hatch and they grow little cars, and the cars grow and then run all around the place. He was doing this in 1910, and he's in the shot. So he's interacting with all of these cars going around, and they're exposing it one frame at a time. And they, like, to me, that's absolutely incredible. So that is very inspirational. Look up Charlie Bowers, his early animation stuff, absolutely incredible. Old Buster Keaton movies, Sherlock Jr. is a great movie. Our Hospitality is a great movie. Very fun, very inventive. Ray Harryhausen, Jason and the Argonauts, where he did the stop motion of all the skeletons. Okay. Like, that's everybody's. That's incredible. I think more so for me, because I think that was a little bit before I didn't see that in the theater, but I saw Clash of the Titans in the theater. So for me, it was Medusa, when Perseus goes to cut off Medusa's head, and she's the snake, and the way she's moving and the flickering light, and each snake head is dancing around, and thinking how that was done one frame at a time. And it's Dynamation, so has the background footage, like the single frame from the background is behind Medusa when he takes his photograph of her. When he shoots her, she's in the scene, and so he's matching the flickering lighting as well. Oh, it's so good. Now, some of that movie is terrible, like the composites of the people running as the city's getting the city's getting submerged because Poseidon's attacking with the Kraken. Terrible visual effects. Oh, it just hurt to watch it. But the stop motion that Ray Harryhausen did, it's just amazing. I would say more recently, like Christopher Nolan's work with Bigatures, where they make a really big model so that it looks like it's really there. Like, that's some really great stuff.
With the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, I think back to like The Fugitive. If you've ever seen The Fugitive, that's an old movie now. But like Harrison Ford's climbing on a bus that's on a train track, and he jumps off of the bus right before the train hits it. It looks really good. And he wasn't there. Like, that's great stuff. That looks really good. The Jurassic Park stuff, I remember seeing that in the theaters. Like, that's when I was starting visual effects. That was absolutely astonishing. I met Stan Winston shortly after that. I have a signed making of Jurassic Park where he wrote, "Rick, I will not write all my love, Stan Winston," because I would always ask everyone to write all my love. Because a friend of mine, Steve Van Wormer, who starred in a movie with Paul Walker once, called Meet the Deedles. He was a friend from high school. He had a signed picture of one of, I think, Greg Brady, maybe Bobby Brady from the Brady Bunch. And he wrote "All My Love" on it. And we thought that was like the most insincere Hollywood thing that you could ever say, is like, to someone you don't know, will you sign it "All My Love"? Like, why would I have all your love? You don't even know me. So that's what we would always ask people to sign things, would be, will you please put "All My Love"? So Stan Winston actually wrote to me, "I will not put all my love," or "I will not write all my love." Signed, Stan Winston. Great freaking guy. So yeah, the Jurassic Park stuff, I mean, that was great integration of CG and model work. Jon Favreau, who directed Zathura, a lot of his Iron Man was awesome. That was a good integration of CG and practical, a good mix. I mean, there's a lot of good mixes nowadays, but
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, all those are just fantastic. Love seeing them.
So we have a question from EJ Leary asking, what's the difference in visual effects and CGI? I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but
yeah. I can just be explicit about it. So CGI is computer graphic. What is that? Computer graphic, and I want to say animation, but I forget already. I don't know. Look it up, someone. VFX
computer generated imagery.
Computer generated imagery. So visual effects is post work. CGI is part of post work. So CGI is part of visual effects. It's a branch of visual effects. Compositing is a branch of visual effects. Rotoscoping is a branch of visual effects. Fluid simulations are a branch of visual effects. So visual effects is anything done in post. Special effects is anything that's done in camera. So like when I made that bird, when I shot that bird, that was sort of a mix because it was visual effects. They'd already shot the plate that it was going into, but I used an actual camera to shoot the bird and me like poking it with a stick. So in a way that was a practical effect. I mean, that was a special effect because I was really doing that, but I was compositing it into the shot. So sometimes the lines get a little bit blurred.
Dude, this is a mix. I love because like I'm listening to it and because like even when you mentioned Iron Man and I saw this one video where there's a person that was making all the sound effects as the suit was coming on Tony, and it just feels like as a special effects artist, like y'all have a tendency to be the unsung hero because the star is the face, you know. They go and do the touring and all that. Like how do you as a special effects artist, like do you want the I wouldn't say the fame, but I know the acknowledgement, but like being like, okay, that's the guy and being known and famous like that?
No, I mean, I don't think we expect to be known or famous because, you know, who knows? Like you don't see us usually, which is actually why a lot of this sort of stuff, it's really like, it's fun to talk about because it's my career. It's what I'm into. It's what I've been doing. And if someone wants to hear me talk about it, hey, awesome. How fun is that? Like, to me, that's the fun part, you know? And so it's really nice to do stuff like this and get, you know, some of the recognition for the people who get none whatsoever, which is why I'm always big on, it's like he's the visual effects artist who worked on Power Rangers. It's like, I'm one of many, you know, like, and it's really nice, but I also am very much want to give props where props are due. But I mean, like, I never expected to be famous. I never expected to be charging for my autograph. Like, that still feels weird, but they make me do it at the conventions. Because, you know, if I'm not doing it, then, hey, wait, well, why is he, you know, so I'm gonna get into that. But so like I charge now for my autograph. Like, I'm used to writing checks and like giving people money. I'm not used to writing my name and then someone gives me money. I'm like, what? That's so weird. That still seems really weird to me. But it's great. It's very nice. It's like among visual effects people, you know, like we know each other and like it's fun to like look at the list on IMDb because at this point I've been doing it so long. It's like if I'm at a studio, generally I've got the longest list of anyone just because I've been doing it for so long. It's like that's kind of fun, you know, like that can be a neat thing. Or, oh, you worked on this, or you worked on this, or I worked on that, or, you know, like that kind of behind the scenes stuff is fun. But as far as like getting famous or being famous, I'd have to be on the other side of the camera for that, you know. And I'm not a good actor. Put me in a mask and a suit and something. I'm great when you're not looking at me, but I am not a good actor.
So how often do you wear the putty outfit?
Oh, that wasn't mine. That was somebody else's.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that was that because you made the mask and you made the Z.
I made the Z.
the morph suit. If I'm not mistaken, it was Mikey's. Michael Buoni's.
Oh, was
so
it?
like he took me he took me in the back so I could change into it.
That's
yeah,
awesome. So
Yeah.
we have 2 more questions, and then we're going to start our wrap up, I think, because we're getting close to time. But these next 2 questions are kind of related, so I figure we can just kind of put them together.
Sure.
So Nick Sannel is asking, was it hard or easy doing the special effects on Masked Rider?
It's such a general question. It depends on the effect. Some were easy,
Yeah.
some were difficult. It depends what we were doing.
Yeah. And then the other question from Sam Snoswell, if Kamen Rider makes their own suits with a fresh start, I'm kind of putting in words here to help me understand the question, to join Power Rangers on Disney Plus, would that be the future? And I mean, I think yes.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I like the Shin Kamen Rider. I watched that. That was totally fun.
Oh yeah,
I'm on the Amazon one. I haven't finished it. The Amazon Kamen Rider Amazon on Amazon. I'm trying to finish that. So, but with the like not to go geek it out too far, but it was just like, so since on the show that it's canon that the Kamen Rider, Masked Rider is in the Power Ranger universe, and now in the comics they have VR Troopers, and so it's just like they go to Disney Plus, the shared universe.
Yeah, get Beetleborgs in there.
Right.
Get Frankenbeans making a guest appearance.
So, because when you mentioned it earlier about the electricity, now the headcanon is just like, so with the Green Ranger who did the Dragon Buster, and we've only seen it like once, could we have seen it on the American side? Because like in the Japanese footage, like the Green Ranger does the one and only like electrical the Dragon Buster to the other Rangers, and like we've never seen it done again throughout the series, I guess because he was evil. But I'm like you could have made some Dragon Busters scenes.
I guess if we need, I'm not familiar with Dragon Buster. I don't know what that means exactly.
Well, he formed like an energy orb.
Oh, it makes
and it held electricity. And he shot it to the Rangers when he was like taking.
If we needed to duplicate that, I mean, there were times where working on the show that was a mix of 2 different TV shows, right? Where there were some goofy situations where, like something like that, like if there's a green energy ball in one and then it needs to hit, say, a character in the American footage, there was some green beams coming out of somebody that was happening in the Japanese footage and the Sentai footage, and then it needed to hit a character in the American footage, and I drew new beams but made them look like the ones from the Japanese. And then they said to me, just use the ones from the Japanese footage because these don't look enough like it. And I'm thinking that's going to look terrible because they're from a completely different situation. But I was like, okay, you want the Japanese footage? I'm just going to draw a line around it, cut it out, slap it on top. I gave them exactly what they were asking for so that they would see that's not what they wanted. And I'm like, okay, here it is. Here is the Japanese footage exactly on top of the American footage. And they're like, well, that looks terrible. It's like, yeah, that's why I changed it a little bit, because you can't just do that. I mean, you think you can do that, but like if it's a green energy over a dark background and you're cutting it out to put it over something that's a brighter background, you're going to end up with an outline around it, and it's going to look terrible. So you don't want that outline, you know? So I think I gave it to them like with the hard outline and everything, just to be like, I'm going to give you exactly what you're asking for and show you how much you don't really want that.
All right, so I think we're hitting the end of time.
It's morphin' time.
Not morphin' time, but close enough.
Smorphin'. We always said smorphin'.
Smorphin' time.
One word with it. One word that starts with an N.
In the beginning. This is like now we're getting all hype again.
But I do want to say, come check us out at Rangerstop and Pop Atlanta. Rick Shick will be there as a visual effects artist, as one of the many visual effects artists that were part of Power Rangers. So definitely come out Atlanta, Georgia this summer, June 13th to 15th at the Omni Hotel in Atlanta at Centennial Park. We'll all be there. Anime Secrets, Blerdography, Carnell Holley Pictures will be on the floor, hanging out all weekend, filming your favorite events and chilling out with our good friend Rick and the other Ranger actors. So if you guys happen to be in the Atlanta area that weekend, definitely come stop by. And also keep an eye out to all of our different channels for more Rangerstop and Pop collaborative events between now and June. We got some really fun stuff coming up in the month of May and June, leading up to the final days before the last Rangerstop and Pop in Atlanta. So you guys know what time it is. It's time to Morphing time, and it's time to come out to Atlanta, support your favorite con. And I'm Rizwan of AnimeSecrets.org, and we're signing out. Have a good day, y'all.
If you enjoyed listening to the Toku Secrets podcast, please check us out at AnimeSecrets.org and follow us on all our social media pages such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also feel free to check out our other podcasts, including Anime Declassified and the Jedi Squadron. You can also leave us any feedback you'd like to offer us directly on our website. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, we thank you so much, and please leave us a rating out of 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and leave any comments down below, as we love to take the time to read comments left on our channel and give our fans, shout-outs. If you have any seasons of Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or other tokusatsu shows that you'd like for us to check out, please don't hesitate to say so in your feedback. With all that said, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we will see you next time as we continue our never-ending journey through the world of tokusatsu. But until that time, you all stay safe, we love you, and may the power protect you.